If you've spent your whole life making yourself smaller, easier, more agreeable in your relationships, where you give more than you receive, you're saying yes when you mean no, and you're apologizing for things that aren't even your fault, this video is going to show you exactly how to start changing that. Not overnight, not perfectly, but for real. Because here's the thing about people pleasing in relationships, it feels like love, it feels like you're being a good partner. It feels like you're being supportive, understanding, easygoing, but underneath it, there's something else that's happening. You're not being easygoing, you're being afraid. You're afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid that if you show up as your full self with your real needs and real opinions and real limits, that they won't stay. And that fear did not start with this relationship. It started long before. When you were growing up, you were being taught that your needs are too much, that keeping the peace matters more than being honest, that love is something you earn through what you do rather than being who you are. People pleasing becomes your love language, the only one you know, and it follows you into every relationship that you enter. So, what does people pleasing actually look like in a romantic relationship? It looks like saying yes to things that you don't want to do and then quietly resenting it. It looks like never sharing your opinion until you know theirs first. It looks like taking responsibility for their moods, canceling plans when they seem off, walking on eggshells when they're stressed, making yourself responsible for their emotional state. It looks like not bringing up the things that bother you because you don't want to seem difficult. It looks like shrinking your dreams, your opinions, your needs to fit into the shape of what you think they want you to be. And the painful irony is that all of this people pleasing doesn't actually make the relationship better. It makes you invisible inside it, and eventually resentful, and eventually completely lost. I know this because I did all of it. I edited myself before I spoke. I waited to see their mood before deciding how to act. And I convinced myself that not having needs was the same thing as being low maintenance. It wasn't. I completely neglected myself, and it cost me more than I realized at the time. This is the kind of pattern that's hard to recognize in the moment, which is why I created something specifically to help. If you're someone who says yes when you mean no, who struggles to speak up because you don't want to disappoint anyone, who overthinks every interaction and ends up blaming yourself when something goes wrong, the People Pleasers Emotional Reset Guide was made just for you. It walks you through how to slow down, recognize what you're actually feeling, and come back to yourself instead of abandoning yourself like you've been taught to. It's completely free, and the link is in the description. So, how do you actually stop people pleasing in your romantic relationship without blowing everything up? The first step is to understand that you cannot stop people pleasing all at once. It's not a switch that you flip on and flip off. It's a practice, and in the beginning, it's going to feel wrong. Expressing a need is going to feel selfish. Saying no is going to feel cruel. Letting someone be upset with you without immediately trying to fix it is going to feel unbearable. And that discomfort is not a sign that you're doing it wrong, it's a sign that you're doing it right. The second step is starting with small, honest moments. You don't have to have the big boundary conversation first. Start small. Share a preference, express a minor need that you have. Say, I'd actually prefer this, instead of, whatever you want is fine. These small moments of honesty build the muscle. They show you that the relationship can handle your realness. They show you who you're actually in a relationship with. The third step is learning to tolerate their discomfort without trying to fix it. And this is the hardest for people pleasers. When your partner is upset, your entire nervous system goes into fix it mode. But their discomfort is not always your responsibility. Sometimes people are allowed to be disappointed or frustrated, and it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Practice staying with that discomfort without immediately apologizing or immediately backing down. Let there be a moment of tension. Notice you survived it. The fourth step is getting clear on what you actually want. This sounds simple, but it's not. Because years of people pleasing means that you spent so much time focused on what everyone else wants that you've actually lost track of your own desires. What do you actually want from this relationship? What are your actual needs? What are your limits? You can't communicate needs that you haven't identified yet. So start there. Get quiet with yourself and ask, what do I actually want here? The fifth step is actually paying attention to how your partner responds when you do show up as yourself, because this is information that you actually need. A partner who is right for you will not fall apart when you express a need. They will not punish you for expressing your opinion, and they will not make you feel guilty for setting a limit. If they do, that's not a people pleasing problem, that's a compatibility problem. And you deserve to know that. If you've ever been in a conversation where you try to express a need or set a boundary and you just go completely blank, you freeze, you can't find the words, and you end up apologizing instead of saying what you actually mean, that's called the freeze response. And it's one of the biggest barriers to breaking this pattern. I created the freeze recovery response kit specifically for situations like this. It has word for word scripts for when your mind goes blank. In your relationships, with family, at work, so you never have to walk away wishing you had said something again. The link is in the description. I want to close with something important. Stopping people pleasing in your relationship is not about becoming difficult. It's not about suddenly demanding everything go your way, or picking fights, or being deliberately contrary. It's about becoming real. It's about letting the person you're with actually meet you. Not the edited version, not the shrunk version, not the agreeable version of you that you've been representing, but you. With your real opinions and your real needs and your real limits. And if the relationship can hold that, if they can love this real version of you, then you have something worth building on. And if it can't, then you have the information that you needed. And you can stop spending your life making yourself invisible for someone who was never going to see you anyway. You deserve to be loved as you are, not as you pretend to be. That's not too much to ask, that is absolutely everything. Subscribe for weekly videos on healing from people pleasing and toxic relationship patterns. Comment below, what's the hardest part of stopping people pleasing in your relationships? I read every single comment. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.